Prince Harry went on a trip to Australia, but it was a very big mess. It was one of the worst things to ever happen to him. People are starting to notice that he and his wife, Meghan, might be having a lot of problems in their marriage. We will talk more about that very soon because it is quite shocking. Harry was not being very nice to his father, who is the King of England. Harry also tried to give a speech about mental health and how people feel in their heads, but it was very, very boring. Not many people wanted to buy tickets to hear him talk. It was so bad that it probably made the people who did listen feel even more tired and sad. A very smart reporter from Australia said that Harry was basically invisible. No one even looked at him. The people in Australia did not try to stop him or shout at him. They just did not care that he was there at all. That is the worst thing that can happen to a famous person who wants attention. It is much worse than having people be mean to you. It means you are just not important anymore. The people in Australia showed how they felt by being very quiet and not caring. They did not organize big groups to shout at them. They just ignored them completely. A writer named Alexander Marshall works for a big magazine in Australia. He is also a person who thinks the king should stay in charge. He said that most people in Australia did not even know that Harry and Meghan were in their country. People who lived in the same city just went about their day. They went to work and did their chores without even knowing the couple was nearby. There was even a woman lying on the beach in the sun in Sydney. Harry walked right past her on the sand, but she did not even move. She did not stay still because she was trying to be rude. She stayed still because she had no idea that anyone important was walking by her. She did not think there was anyone worth looking at. This is a huge failure for a couple who needs everyone to look at them all the time. You cannot say you are the most picked-on person in the world and then have nobody even notice you are there. You cannot go on a fake royal trip and have nobody even see you. Meghan said she is the person who gets the most mean messages on the whole planet. She said this to a group of college students, and she looked like she really believed it. But at the same time, the reporter Alexander Marshall had to use a computer to search on Google to find out what Harry and Meghan were doing. Even though they were right across the street from her in the city of Sydney, she didn't know why they were there. Both of these things cannot be true at the same time. You can't be super famous for being hated and also be a person that nobody knows is in town. A man named Richard Fitzwilliams told me on my TV show that this trip was just a practice run. It was a practice for them coming back to the United Kingdom. He said, "Good luck with that, because it probably won't work out well." King Charles would have seen all the bad news and the embarrassing things they did. He would see that they only care about making more money. Prince William will have seen it too. Neither of them will want to have anything to do with this couple, because they are acting so strange and greedy. The couple wants everyone to think they are very important, but the truth is that they are becoming invisible. Australia was the place they chose for their big trip. They wanted to show the whole world that they still matter and that they are still famous. But the trip actually showed the opposite. It showed that they don't matter as much as they think. There was a poll that asked people who they liked the most. The most popular royal person in Australia is still Queen Elizabeth II. She has been dead for 3 years now. The second most popular person is Princess Diana. She has been dead for almost 30 years. Both of those women are loved much more than anyone who is still alive today. Harry is near the bottom of the list of living royal people. Meghan is at the very, very bottom. They went to Australia to make money and show off, but the people there had already decided that they were the least interesting members of the family. Most Australians still like the royal family, but they just do not like Harry and Meghan very much at all. Harry's father, King Charles, is doing a much better job than Harry. We should remember that the king is a man in his late 70s. He is also fighting a very scary sickness called cancer. Even though he is sick, he is still the king of the United Kingdom. People should give him a little bit of respect because he is the king. It is right there in his name. He is an older man and he is not feeling very well, but he is still working hard. When the king went to Australia recently, it was very different. The streets were full of people who were very excited to see him. They were happy and cheered for him because they felt a real connection to him and the crown. Harry came to Australia as a former prince who wanted to talk about wellness and sell his brand. But when he showed up, nobody came to see him. There were no big crowds and no cheering. It was very quiet and empty compared to the king's visit. When Princess Anne visited Australia, people were much nicer to her too. Anne does not try to get her picture in the news all the time. She does not do interviews where she talks about all of her feelings. She does not give long speeches that sound like a therapy session. She also does not try to sell the clothes she wears for charity on the internet using special computer programs. Because she just does her job and stays quiet, the people in Australia like her much more. They respect her because she isn't trying to make money from being famous. The people of Australia had to deal with Harry and Meghan for 4 days, and it was hard for them. Some people say that the house prices might have even gone down because they were there. People are joking that even the kangaroos stopped jumping because they were so upset. They think even the koalas were mad about the couple being in their country. It was not a very happy time for the people or the animals. Something very strange happened at the end of the trip. Meghan was having a special event called a retreat. She was on the stage and Harry was sitting nearby. But then Harry just got up and ran away before she was even finished talking. People who were there said it was the weirdest thing they had ever seen. He didn't wait for her to walk off the stage. He didn't wait behind the scenes for her. He just left the building. A big newspaper called The Times wrote about this. People who were there said Harry looked like he was in a big hurry to get out of there. This makes people think their marriage is having big problems. If you love someone, you usually stay and listen to them finish their speech. Harry had nothing else to do that day. His own work was already done. He had no reason to leave so fast. He was at a big meeting in Melbourne where tickets cost $1,000, but it was not a full house. Many seats were empty because people did not want to pay that much to hear Harry talk about feelings. When Harry ran away from Meghan's event, it told us one of three things. Either he was feeling very bad in his head, or he hated the event, or he was mad at Meghan. All of these ideas mean the same thing. Things are not going well. People have been wondering if they are going to get a divorce for a long time. They have seen many clues. In their pictures, they look like they are just pretending to be happy. Their hugs and hand-holding look like a performance for the cameras. At a movie premiere, Meghan was leaning toward a big boss from Netflix and leaning away from Harry. Then there was the time Harry ran away from the retreat. Alexander Marshall said it looks like one of them wants to go back to England and the other one does not. She thinks Meghan does not want to go back to the United Kingdom at all. If one person wants to live in one country and the other person wants to live somewhere else, that is a big problem for a marriage. It usually means they are going to break up. Harry seems to want to go back to Britain. He is fighting a big legal battle to get special police protection there. He wants to be able to go back to the place where the royal family is. He is also talking about his mother, Diana, a lot. Some people think he is doing this just to get more clicks on the internet and to make more money. It probably makes his brother, William, feel very sad and angry. Harry is using his mother's memory to make himself look better. He is also trying to get invited to stay at the king's house during the summer. But Meghan wants something different. She likes California, she likes her business, and she likes Hollywood. Britain cannot give her those things. These two people want very different lives. The trip to Australia was supposed to show that they were a strong team, but instead it showed that they are pulling apart. Harry is like an actor who has been playing a role for a long time. He played a soldier and a prince and a husband. But in Australia, he stopped acting for a moment and showed he was unhappy. He could not sit there and watch his wife anymore, so he just walked out. During his speech in Melbourne, Harry said he felt lost and powerless. He said he had kept his feelings hidden for a long time. He said the world makes people feel very stressed and overwhelmed. He also said that being a working royal person is what killed his mother. This is a very big thing to say. He said it in a very casual way, like it was just a normal thing to talk about. But it is not a normal thing. Princess Diana died in a car crash a long time ago in Paris. The driver had been drinking too much alcohol. Diana had also chosen not to use the royal police officers who usually kept her safe. A man named Ken Worf used to be her guard, and he said if she had stayed with the royal guards, she would probably still be alive today. So, when Harry says the royal institution killed her, he is not telling the whole truth. He is saying it at a meeting where people paid money to hear him. It sounds like he is just saying it to get attention, not because he is really thinking about it. The way Harry talks about his mother's death is very strange. Usually, when someone loses a parent, they speak about it with a lot of weight and sadness. But Harry talks about it like it is a line from a movie. He says it so often that it sounds like he is just repeating a script. It does not sound like he is really feeling the pain anymore. He did the same thing when he talked about his father having cancer. He said he didn't know how much time his father had left. That is a very cold way to talk about your dad. Most people who love their parents would not talk like that in front of cameras. It shows that Harry might be feeling very detached from his family. He uses these sad stories to help his own brand, but he does not sound like he is speaking from his heart. This makes people in Australia and other places feel like he is not being real with them. The reporter Alexander Marshall said the media in Australia did not even care about the trip. The newspapers in England and America wrote more about it than the papers in Australia did. Even though they were in Australia, the local people were not interested. One guest at the retreat told a newspaper that it was so odd to see Harry leave so fast. Everyone was looking at him because he is handsome, but then he was just gone. This shows that the whole trip was actually for people in other countries to see on the internet. It was not really for the people of Australia. It was a big PR plan to make them look famous in the UK and the US so they could make more money. But for a plan like that to work, you need the local people to be excited. If the local people don't care, then the whole thing looks like a fake. And that is exactly what happened. The Australian people showed that the couple is just not that interesting to them anymore. Harry really wants to be seen as a leader and a hero. He wants to show the royal family that he is still a big star. He thought if he went to Australia and did all these things, the King and Prince William would see how much people love him. But nobody showed up to see him. The events were not full. People in the streets did not even know he was there. The woman on the beach did not even look up from her towel. Harry went looking for love and fame, but he found that people were just bored of him. He wants the good parts of being a royal, like the respect and the safety, but he does not want to do the hard work that comes with it. Australia is a very honest place. The people there will tell you if they don't like you, or they will just ignore you if you are boring. They decided that Harry and Meghan were not worth their time. This is a very sad thing for Harry, but it is the truth. In the summer, Harry will try to go back to Britain again. He will use his games for hurt soldiers, called the Invictus Games, as a reason to be there. He will try to fix his relationship with his father. But the trip to Australia will be like a bad grade on a report card. The royal family will look at what happened in Australia and see that Harry and Meghan are not the big stars they claim to be. They will see that even in a country that likes the monarchy, Harry and Meghan are at the bottom of the list. They will see the empty seats at the meetings and the stories about Harry running away from his wife. It shows that their brand is breaking. They are like a toy that nobody wants to play with anymore. They try to look like they are doing good things for the world, but really they are just trying to sell things and be famous for no reason. To be successful at selling a brand, you need people to want what you are selling. Harry and Meghan are trying to sell themselves as leaders of wellness and mental health. But a good speaker fills up the whole room. Harry's rooms were half empty even when the tickets were cheaper. A good business sells a lot of products. Meghan's new brand does not seem to be selling much in Australia. A good celebrity event is always sold out. Meghan's retreat only had 150 people and she only stayed for a short time. When you add all these things together, it shows that their business is failing. They are losing their power. People are starting to see that they are just shallow grifters, which means people who try to get money without doing real work. This is a big problem because they need money to live their expensive life in California. Princess Anne is the perfect example of how to be a real royal. She does not ask for anything. She just shows up and helps people. She does not talk about her inner thoughts to everyone she meets. Because she is so hardworking and selfless, people in Australia love her. They know she is the real thing. Harry and Meghan are like a fake version of a royal. They have the fancy clothes and the photographers, but they don't have the heart for service. The public can tell the difference. You can't trick people for very long. Eventually, they will see that you are just doing it for yourself. That is why Australians were so indifferent. They saw that the trip was not for them, but for Harry and Meghan's own bank accounts. They decided not to give them the attention they wanted. Divorce Watch is going to keep going. Every time they are seen together, people will look at their hands and their eyes to see if they are happy. The fact that Harry rushed out of that room in Melbourne is a huge clue. It was a moment where the mask slipped. He couldn't pretend to be the happy, supportive husband for one more minute. He just had to get out of there. And since 150 people saw it, they couldn't hide it or tell the newspapers it didn't happen. It was a real moment of trouble. Meghan wants to be a superstar in Hollywood, and Harry wants his old life back in England. You can't have both. They are going in two different directions, and it is starting to pull them apart. The whole world is watching to see what will happen next. The king is in Washington right now. He is meeting with important people and doing real work for his country. He is doing this while he is very sick. He is showing what it means to be a leader. At the exact same time, Harry was in Australia acting like a fake royal and running out of meetings. The difference between the father and the son is very big now. One is serving his people and the other is serving himself. The Queen was right when she said they couldn't be half in and half out of the royal family. You are either doing the work for the right reasons, or you are just a celebrity. Harry chose to be a celebrity, but now he is finding out that celebrities can be forgotten very easily. If people stop looking at you, you lose your power. The word indifference is the best way to describe this trip. It means that people just don't care. That is much worse than people being mad at you. If people are mad, they are still thinking about you. But if they are indifferent, they have forgotten you exist. Australia has forgotten about Harry and Meghan. They have moved on to other things. They still love the old Queen and they still love Diana, but they don't have any room in their hearts for the Sussexes. The couple went to 3 different cities, visited hospitals, and went to the beach. They brought their own reporters and photographers. But after 4 days of trying very hard to be famous, the result was nothing. Nobody came. The events were empty. They left early. It was a total failure of their brand. What happens next will be very interesting. They will try again in the summer, but the world is starting to see the truth. They are a couple that is no longer special. They are just 2 people who moved to California and are now trying to find a way to stay relevant. But you cannot stay relevant by complaining and being mean to your family. You stay relevant by doing good work and being a good person. The Australian trip showed that they have forgotten how to do that. And because they forgot, the world is starting to forget them too. The woman on the beach who didn't move is a symbol for everyone. She didn't move because Harry just wasn't worth moving for. That is the sad reality of where they are now. They are no longer the stars of the show. They are just people walking on the beach and nobody is looking. This trip was supposed to be their big comeback. It was supposed to show everyone that they were still the most famous couple in the world. But instead, it showed that they are struggling. Their marriage is showing cracks, their business is not making enough money, and the public is bored of their stories. Even the animals in Australia seem to know that something was wrong. It is a very long way to go just to be ignored. Harry must be feeling very lonely now. He is far from his home, far from his family, and it seems like he is even becoming far from his wife. The summer will be here soon, and we will see if he can fix things. But after the disaster in Australia, it seems like it might be too late. The world has moved on, and Harry and Meghan are being left behind in the sand. Every single part of this trip was planned to make them look good. They had the best cameras and the best clothes. They chose the best places to go, but you cannot plan for how people feel. You cannot force people to like you. The people of Australia are very smart. They can see when someone is being fake. They saw that Harry and Meghan were not there to help, but to help themselves. That is why the streets were empty. That is why the woman on the beach stayed right where she was. She had better things to do than look at a prince who doesn't act like a prince anymore. The Sussex brand is in big trouble, and it might never be fixed. They are at the bottom of the list, and they are staying there. It is a sad end for a couple that once had everything. Now they just have their cameras and their empty rooms and the silence of a crowd that never showed up. So when we look back at this tour in the year 2026, we will remember it as the moment it all fell apart. We will remember the boring speech about mental health that nobody wanted to hear. We will remember the king being brave and working hard while he was sick. We will remember Princess Anne being a true helper. And we will remember Harry rushing out of the room because he couldn't stand to be there anymore. It was a tour that was supposed to be a triumph, but it ended up being a catastrophe. It was a new low for the prince, and it showed the whole world that the magic is gone. The fake royal tour is over, and now they have to face the truth. They are no longer the royals we once knew. They are just 2 people looking for attention in a world that has finally decided to look away. And that is the most shocking part of all. No matter how hard they try, they are becoming invisible. The Australian verdict is in, and the answer is total indifference. They went to the other side of the world to be seen, but in the end, nobody even noticed they were there. It was a long trip for nothing, and the cracks in their life are now too big for anyone to ignore anymore.